The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Why dost thou sit upon my grave and will dead lips to speak? Why dost thou weep upon my grave and will not let me sleep? My breast it is as cold as clay, my breath is earthly strong, and if you kiss my cold clay lips, your days they won't be long. How oft on yonder grave, sweetheart, where we were wont to walk, the fairest flower that e'er I saw has withered to a stalk. When will we meet again, sweetheart? When will we meet again? When the autumn leaves that fall from trees are green and spring up again. How oft on yonder grave, sweetheart, where we were wont to walk, the fairest flower that e'er I saw has withered to a stalk.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to McStabber Studios' Bloodied Field. This is a special miniseries that we're going to be running. This is episode 1. I don't know when the second one will be. It's based on when Tiss is not streaming. She left us an opening this weekend. And of course, I am the storyteller of this stream, Shanky McStabber. Now we're ready for Astrid to introduce herself.
Yes, hello, I am Astrid Dean. I am playing the Bruja, Priscilla Caspian. Little teaser, I suppose you could say that her predator type is unofficial. So there's a very particular shape to this Bruja that you probably haven't seen before.
Hello, I'm Zachary Naldright, he, him. I can be found on the Bird app and various other social media places at Zach Rules. If I am somebody else is there, try Zach Rules Dice because Zach Diaz beat me to that site. Today, I am going to be playing Brother Joseph of the Hakata.
I'm Ben Nix. I can be found at El Corrido on Instagram and Twitter. I'd like to shout out to Ghost from x.hauntedcosmetics.x on Instagram for doing my makeup today. And I will be playing Caleb Albrecht, a Nosferatu, who's trying to redeem himself from the monster he truly is.
I'm Nick at Nick A. Didato at Twitter, or in this community or other Discords, I'm known as Beetle Spock. And I'll be playing Trevor Daniels, a former park ranger of Yellowstone, who's now been inducted to Clan Gangrel.
When love and hate turn strange, and magpie filch the hours, and Judas limbs betray, know that you are a figment of the shadow sleeper's dream. a fitting way to open this particular mini-series, as this group of kindred thought they were having a normal night in the city of Chicago, going about their own business. But as often as in Chicago, your plans frequently have to change, because each of these kindred have been summoned to a club called Club Confession by one Sovereign, Alan Sovereign Sinshaw of Chicago. Club Confession is actually located just south of the Wicker Park Rack in Chicago. It is known as while it is a goth exterior, the inside is well known now for its dancing, its club music, and the rather eccentric group of owners. As you've arrived here at Club Confession, each one taking your own means, because I do not believe any of you have met the others, at least not in any formal setting. You're escorted by a man in an immaculate suit who introduced himself as Etienne. And he guides you up to a small conference room and explains, so you're aware, if this is your first time using our conferencing rooms here, there is no cell phone signal once you get into the room. There is no outside links. There is no way for the room to be spied on. Anything said in here is confidential between the members of the people in the room, and not even the club owners are able to listen in on what goes on. Your host has not arrived yet. He will be here shortly. Please make yourselves at home, and I will bring him up when he arrives. And the four of you are unceremoniously left in this conference room where you can describe and introduce yourselves to each other.
Even though he's been saying everything is confidential and not even the club owners know this, I'm still very, very skeptical of that. Um, I I look like a pretty good looking guy, about 30, brown hair, brown eyes, wearing, I guess, his former, uh, or at least a variation of his dark green park ranger's jacket over a black t-shirt, and just some jeans and some work boots. Nothing too over the top. Um, Trying to get a sense of the area, the smells, um, any strange smells, um, besides just the city itself.
Caleb is crouching in a corner. Even though he's crouched, his body looks almost like an ape that is barely contained by the hooded sweatshirt he's wearing. His eyes flick around the room. He doesn't seem overly nervous, but he is trying to take in the scenery, take in all of you before making any kind of social interactions. His face looks almost like cracked stone. It's gray flesh, riddled with scars. His arms are overly long and brush the ground again like an ape's would. And some of those strange smells might be coming from him.
Brother Jacob.
Oh, go ahead.
Brother Jacob is going to take a seat at the opposite of the head of the conference table. He's dressed in black, save for his priest collar and a purple sash. And he's going to fold his hands, just wait patiently.
Priscilla would be standing about where that immediate door is, basically cool but not cool, leaning against the wall to where the other individual will be sitting at the end of the table. just basically being right back there and being the only woman in the room. She doesn't have that sort of, oh, I'm the only woman in the room sort of thing. As a matter of fact, she doesn't look particularly remarkable any way or the other, just kind of average. Her clothes, although she's dressed up, kind of average. I mean, they're well kept, but I mean, wrinkled from, I mean, maybe like a hurried flight or something like that. But they do seem kind of tight in a couple areas, like around the arms almost. She doesn't seem like it, but it kind of gives that vibe of if she flex a little bit too much, it might rip. I don't know. Something's a little off about her. There's an obvious predatory aura to her that she just really can't control.
As the uncomfortable silence obviously sets in with this group. You wait 10 minutes. Not a sound can be heard from inside this room. You don't even hear the club below, even though the music was loud as you cut through it. It's obvious this room is well insulated for sound. And as promised by Etienne, not a one of you have a cell phone signal in here. Nothing can apparently reach out. For those that are scientifically inclined, you realize you must be in some sort of Faraday cage built around this room, specifically designed to stop cell phones. But finally, the door opens, and in steps a man who, the best way to describe him is weaselly in some ways. All of you have at some point met the Seneschal of Chicago. Thin face. He's got circular glasses at the end of his nose. He comes in, no briefcase, no clipboard, nothing. He just strides into the room. Interesting. I see you all have arrived. I'm aware you probably don't know each other, but I am, of course, Seneschal Allen Sovereign. And I have been sent to give you an important task. Please, everyone take a seat.
I do so.
Caleb strides from the corner, pulls out a chair, and very gingerly settles his bulk onto the chair. The chair itself creaks menacingly, as if it might break.
Priscilla kind of does one of those, arms still crossed, uses like, push of the shoulder blades to kind of get up off the wall. But she doesn't go to sit immediately. There's almost as if something makes her pause and she's just looking at the back of the seneschal's head like I really don't want to sit down, but it's a seneschal. So she sits, ladylike, and smiles. Still quiet.
Now, I know you all know Chicago, but unfortunately, sometimes the business of Chicago stretches outside of its borders. And Prince Jackson was expecting a message from an envoy, a very important message. And unfortunately, the message has not arrived. The messenger, one Elliot Stranton, disappeared. His last known location was Harfield, Indiana. And it's going to be very important that you all depart the city tonight and go there and retrieve this missing message. I will be frank, we care little for the messenger. What matters is the message itself. If the messenger has got himself in a bind, as long as you can recover the message, we will be satisfied.
How far away is this town?
It should take you about 2 hours to reach it.
Do you have any other information regarding other parties that might be interested in this message.
Well, as always, any message sent to a prince is going to attract attention from many others. I'm not sure who all would have known the messenger was there or that he had a message. So it begs the question of who might have done something to him. Now, I know you all have not worked together before, but you were selected because you each have a set of skills we think will assist in locating and finding this message.
What can you tell us of this messenger?
Elliot Stranton, middle-aged man by kind standards, black hair, fine cropped goatee, bit prone to an older style of dress, you might say. He is from the old world and tends to still dress like it. The last time I saw him, he was in a double-breasted suit. But this was many, many months ago.
Kind or kindred?
Oh,
Or
he is
something else?
kindred. One of us. Clan Ventru.
Ventru, and he's a mere messenger. That's actually interesting.
Mir? He is an envoy. An envoy from Europe. There's nothing mere about that status. He has free reign to travel through all domains of the Camarilla with safe passage. I would not say that is a mere messenger.
Foul play is almost guaranteed.
Yes, and to that note, mm, city so unfamiliar, it does make one curious. What sort of outlying difficulties does this city, normally find itself under? Are there anarch rabble rousers? Are there things that get swept under the rug that rather not be talked about that might have caused this poor man's slip into whatever he found himself into?
We don't know much about the city. The last we heard, there was an exile living there. She is Camarilla. Her name is Lydia. She's still loyal to the tower, but she was sent away by Clan Tremere out of the city after some difficulties. But
Difficulties.
yes, it seems she may have been tangled up with the Karna business.
Is she still in communication with her clan?
No, we haven't heard from anyone about her, but we know she last set up there, hoping that her exile would end. For difficulties. Oh, how can I say this? And do you know of the Goblin Roads?
Goblin roads.
Sounds eerie.
It's been some time, but a bit.
Only rumors and hearsay. I have no first-hand experience with it.
Yes, unfortunately, most of those rumors have a grain of truth. And this town is located dangerously close. You will be traveling through them. I attempted to get you an escort, but it seems the wolf pack tonight are being difficult. So you must, how do they put it? As the kind would say, roll the dice to get through the Goblin Roads.
So we have to provide our own transport.
Well, of course, I'm sure kindred such as yourselves have a vehicle that you can take? There is no
Well,
airport. You can't fly there. As far as I know, it's a rather small town. Extremely small. Finding him should not be difficult. There's not enough people there to make it hard.
I don't have a vehicle of any sorts. Um, so if one of you can gladly provide transportation, I would like to hop along.
I do not fit into most vehicles.
Yeah.
And
If needed, I can provide a
Seneschal,
van. I'm sure you can fit in one of those.
yes. And what will we be getting for this service to the court?
Well, you are doing a favor to the prince. I think that speaks well enough of what you get.
Hmm,
Having a prince owe you something for a service rendered is payment enough, I think.
indeed. I just wanted to make sure all the cards were on the table.
Prince Jackson is well aware of the value of favors done and services rendered in return for future favors.
Uh, already pledged myself to this court several years ago, so what's one more task outside the city limits? That's a little disconcerting for me, but if it must be done, I guess my expertise in non-urban areas might come in use.
Seneschal, you said this is a small town that we are going to. How
Yes,
small?
my contacts tell me there are just barely over 600 people in it. Though it does have a hotel where tourists like to stop to visit cornfields of all things. So there's a transient nature to some of the population.
From my time spent in Indiana, that does sound about right. Um, my concern for the masquerade with a town of 600, perhaps there's some supplies that could come with the van that you are graciously providing us.
And what supplies would those be?
Enough to keep the beast at bay for the what I would imagine be short time that we were there. Perhaps provisions for 2 nights.
Hmm. I can arrange for a nice chest that holds 6 blood bags. That's all I can get on short notice.
Understood. Once again, thank you for the graciousness of
Well, this is
providing.
important. The van will be here 1 hour.
Well, I already have everything with me, so
As do I.
Very good.
any
Any other questions you have?
mm, sounds pretty straightforward.
It should be. This should be a quick run find him and come back.
Are there any domains nearby that we should be aware of?
Well, you are talking the hinterlands around these cities. I'm sure some places will be claimed by rabble-rousing anarchs, a baron here or there, but I doubt any will claim anything major inside of the Goblin Roads. The Goblin Roads has a way to ensure that no one holds claim over them. That is their land.
Goblins.
I don't think I can stress enough. You must be careful in the Goblin Roads. Things are not what they seem many times.
Is this like a backwoods road or a?
It is a place where supernatural things run into problems.
We are supernatural things. We are bound to run into problems.
Why, yes. That is the other reason you are being sent. I think the proper term would be expendable assets.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
You said you wanted cards on the table. Cards are on the table.
Indeed.
Accomplish this, though, and perhaps you will graduate from expendable to useful assets. Much better place to stand.
High risk, moderate reward.
Isn't that the way? Both in business and our society.
Unfortunately.
So long as there's a good foundation.
You will find, even when this wonderful city is unstable, it is still a good foundation. It has endured a very long time, and it has paid its favors a very long time. As it has paid its
Just simply
treachery.
saying good seneschal, I would hope to become a part of that.
I'm sure you're aware that Prince Jackson does not hold the rancor for your clan that many of his clan do. His own sheriff, Miss Clan Bruja. The only thing that will hold you back in this city is yourself, not your clan.
The whole ask not what I can do for you, etc., etc. Yes.
Yes. Stirring speech, I'm sure.
Mm.
But don't forget the song isn't everything. It's more what have you done for me lately that matters. I always liked that one.
Well, if anyone needs time to prepare, they have now less than an hour.
Oh, an hour from when I leave.
Okay.
I have
Before Sovereign leaves, I'd like to do a wits and insight to get any idea if there's anything else that he is holding back on.
okay. Please go ahead. Got 7. Not bad. I like that.
That is a 7 with a crit.
Yeah,
so
7 with
that
a crit.
matters.
That's very on 5 dice, no less, which is very
Yeah.
impressive, to be fair. You can tell he doesn't seem to be holding back, but it's clear he doesn't expect you all to survive. When he's discussed the Goblin Roads, it was clear it terrified him. Well, I will
You
be going to arrange your transport.
you honor us with the opportunity. Uh, I hope to be seeing you again shortly.
I hope so as well. Well, 1 hour. The van will be here to pick you up. Have a good evening. And when he knocks on the door, the suited gentleman who introduced himself as Etienne escorts him out, leaving you all alone again in this private conference room, waiting for Etienne to return from escorting the Sinshal out of the building.
Caleb pushes himself off the chair. It was balancing on it was getting dangerous, and returns to his apish kind of crouch. He looks at each one of you in turn. I am Caleb. I think my lineage is quite obvious.
No, I couldn't tell.
Caspian, Priscilla Caspian. Seneschal did the honor of confirming clan.
Brother Jacob.
You are a
Trevor
priest.
Daniels. Trevor Daniels, formerly known as Ranger Dan. You just call me Trevor.
How does Rangy Danny sit with you though? No? Huh? We'll workshop it.
No, let's not.
Okay, so yourself.
That just sounded.
But think of it. Think of it this way. If you were to have your name on a building, will you want your name on a building, or will you want some variation of your name on a building?
How about my name not on a building?
Okay. You can be like that then.
That just attracts too much attention.
True enough. Like I said, doesn't have to be your name though.
Technicalities.
Possibilities.
Does
Well,
anyone have anything you want to do in this hour? I have to ask this.
Whatever research can be done, I imagine that it's not going to be done in this room. But if there's any news articles or anything that can be dug up on this town of absolutely a population smaller than the parish that Brother Jacob is connected to.
It's only about a minute or two before Etienne comes back to escort you out of the room and back to the door of the club. So you got your cell phone signal if anyone wishes to do some investigation. You want to look up stuff on the internet, those kind of things?
Not an investigation, but I would like to have Priscilla go to her car and just from the trunk get out one of those kind of like gem duffel bag things, and storyteller seeing a particular specialty that she has. I think you can imagine what this contains.
Let me pull up and double check because I'm not 100%.
Spoil stuff.
The what?
I'm trying not to spoil stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I always assume confidence. If you got your bag and bring it up, you have it. You have it. It's in your bag. So I'm going to let, I know Brother Jacob there wanted to do some research on it. If you want to look it up on the phone, I'll let you roll intelligence and investigation or intelligence science or intelligence technology. One of those fits for a phone search for your Google foo. See how well you can Google some stuff. Messy crit so far with 4, though. I don't really feel a messy crit applies to searching the internet, though, unless you get mad at your phone. I don't feel the messy crit applies for this one, so I'm going to let that one slide for now. Anyone else doing any kind of searches on the place?
would I have enough time or would I have actually, now that I think of it, had enough time or armed myself with a simple firearm, maybe maybe a pistol, or I don't know how well I've been hiding like a hunting rifle, but um,
I'll allow you time to gather that if you wish.
all right. So I guess to be less conspicuous, whatever, conspicuous. I'll just get my this handgun that I have.
Okay.
I mean, we do have a van that we are being provided that we're going to be hiding a cooler full of blood bags. So a rifle probably wouldn't be the thing that sticks out most if anybody was looking through it.
Well, if we're trudging through town, I mean, it might draw some attention if I had some slinged. But if we had time to, something happens, time to go back to the van and get the rifle, come back. I guess we'll have it just in case and stash it in the van.
I know
So, but
this.
I'll also conceal a little handgun on my person.
I know this may be a long shot, but I'd like to tap my criminal contacts to see if they've heard anything coming out of that place in Indiana by any chance.
Okay. So if you're going to do a criminal contact, let's go. What do you think would be a good roll for that? I mean, you got 3
Hmm.
dots. Mm, let's see.
Streetwise.
Streetwise, roll streetwise contacts, maybe? That sounds like a good
Okay.
one to roll.
In that same vein, storyteller, while he rolls that up, I was thinking Priscilla could get in contact with uh, what would essentially be her fellow hunting party and use her politics to see if they've essentially hunted up there and picked up anything around that realm while doing so.
Okay. And that's a social roll of some sort. Come up with a good social roll and roll it. I'm very, as anyone who
Okay.
understands me knows, I'm very fluid with what I let people roll.
Uh, charisma and politics.
That sounds fine. I always
Thank
like to
you.
let the players pick what they roll because they know their character better than I ever will.
Oh, I just realized we didn't do our weight grasses.
I don't have you do one on the first day.
Oh, okay, got you.
I like to give you all the benefit of starting off.
Got you.
You know,
Storyteller, what attribute should I tie it to? Manipulation or wits?
which one do you think would fit most for your character?
Probably manipulation.
Then go ahead and use that.
Okay.
Okay, I blood searched charisma in that past. I also spent a willpower for a total of 5 successes on that charisma and politics.
Okay, I will come to you in 1 second. I'm just getting this information together for everybody so that I can share it over and give people some. For you, I'll have to send it in Zoom, but I can send it over to you. I'm just making sure I get everything here. Just takes me a minute to get all this put out.
Brother
That's
Jacob,
valid.
Brother Jacob's also going to get his priestly bags out of the back of his car.
Okay. There we go. So I got that. Now I just need your politics. You had 5. Okay. Let me send that over to you on Zoom or on Zoom chat so you have it as well. Let me find, here it is. There we go. I got that one sent. And now I'm going to give the notes to the others.
Thank you kindly.
Mm-hmm. So let me pull up these, close this one, and then I'm going to share some notes. Notes here for Brother Jacob. You'll see in your notes, you have what you found with the internet. Should be now under notes in Fantasy Grounds. And for Caleb, you also have under notes what your criminal contacts told you about the place. Okay.
Thank you.
So within an hour, Sovereign was correct. The van does arrive. The man who gets out of it, he's wearing a workman's outfit. Looks like he's an electrician based on what's on the back of the outfit, though the van is not marked in any way, shape, or form as owned by a company. And who's going to get the keys? Who is going to drive this crew?
Priscilla, was it?
Yes.
How are you at handling a vehicle?
I mean, I'm not the stereotype of, broad can't, drive worth a damn sort of thing, but average. Not really something I do often.
One of the benefits of a city life is not having to deal with a vehicle when I'm not required to. However, does not seem to be accustomed to what I'm used to driving. I can.
Oh, you're one of those. Okay. Yes, good brother.
But it wouldn't be the smoothest of rides if I was behind the wheel.
I know where I'm riding. And he'll walk around to the back of the van and open up the doors.
And the back of the van has a single row of seats, and then the entire rest of the back of the van is seatless. Now, there is a slight oddity with this van. You notice that there are welded rings along the frame at the top and the back that looks like it may or may not have been used to hold restraints of some kind at one point.
Lovely.
So we're talking like a paddy wagon of sorts.
Or a kidnap van.
Priscilla doesn't seem to be phased.
What's the difference?
Can't argue that. There are no windows in the back. The rear windows that would normally be there have been completely black spray painted from the inside to not let a single bit of light through. Now the front, while the front does have a front windshield, you notice that there's a privacy curtain between the front and the entire back of the van that can be pulled closed that you suspect would do a pretty good job at preventing any light entering the entire back cargo area of this van. It is obviously something has been set up to serve as an emergency daytime hideout for a kindred.
A kindred.
Well, you could fit 4 of you in there. It's going to be tight, but then again, kindred aren't known to toss and turn in their day sleep either. So
Well, I haven't driven in a very long time. I've never driven a van. So if you want to risk that,
All right, and Patricia will just kind of like hold out her hands and then just to kind of like no in particular. Hop in, losers. It's story time.
and the driver hands you the keys, and you see him walk over to a corner and lift his hand, and then just a black Oldsmobile pulls up, and he climbs in the passenger side, and they drive off, leaving you with this van. In,
She'll just
inside the van is a GPS with the location already put in it for you. And there is a cooler in the back. You haven't
Huh.
checked in the cooler yet, but there is a cooler in the back.
Caleb will clamber into the back, his hunch on his back brushing against the top of the doorway. He sort of settles himself to get as comfortable as possible in the simian crouch. And he'll flip the top of the cooler open with one of his fingers.
Inside, they're not bags. There are 6. They look like hip flasks, but they're marked with symbols all the way around them.
What do the symbols look familiar at all?
Not really. But as you're poking around it there, the first thing that strikes you as odd is there's no ice in the ice chest. But at the bottom, there's a card. And the card just says compliments of blue velvet.
Would there be a benefit of rolling intelligence plus occult to examine the symbols?
Sure, I will always allow a player to roll something if they wish. I like to, penalize creativity. Oh, you are on a roll tonight there, Brother Jacob. 5 with another messy critical. This is going to be a fun night at this round. Let's keep this going. But again, on 6 dice, 5 with a messy critical is very nice. Looking at them, you don't identify them exactly as what they are, but you suspect it has something to do with sustaining and maintaining and otherwise preventing the liquid in it from aging or going bad.
So can I take one of these flasks and can I use Bloodhound to tell the residents of the blood, at least of this particular one?
Of course you can,
I know it's not a person, but it's
but it's still blood. And that's the beauty of blood, right? You open one of the containers and sniff at it. And as you sniff at it, it's obvious where this blood come from. The person was not happy with where they were in life, where their situation they happened to be in, because you can smell the sadness and the melancholy in the blood. Now, this strikes you as odd because you've never smelled blood that could maintain a resonance outside of the veins.
Human blood. Great.
curious. At this point, Priscilla, driver's seat. So she'd probably like reach over, extend herself, and pick up one of the little containers. And it's not my best role, but storyteller, could I look at this with an intelligence and science pool?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Like I said, I try to let players roll whatever they want as long as it remotely makes sense, because for all the things I'll do to players in the game, I like to give them some agency before I put the hammer down.
This is one hell of a tease. I'm halfway to a critical, but this character does not have a lot of willpower, and I already spent one. But that's going to be 2 successes.
2 successes? The most you can tell about this blood is that you've seen blood bags before. This blood seems slightly thicker, like perhaps it's not been watered down with other chemicals or, well, coagulants.
Huh. If we're able to hold on to at least one of these by the time this is all said and done, I'd like to send this off somewhere for further examination. Just curiosity.
So does our bloodhound sniff each of the?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's all human.
You find, oddly enough, whoever has prepared these for you knows what they're doing. There's a choleric resonance, melancholy, as you found, phlegmatic, sanguine, and one vial of animal blood And the last one with no resonance.
Really. Well, I picked the animal one. Well, this one's mine. I guess they did their research. Um, I don't know about this one, and I point to one no resonance at all. That's
You can tell it's
I
human. I will give you that. You know it's
yeah.
human, but
This is a little bit odd. Uh,
The fact that
have I ever had not every time I've had
not
blood?
everybody
It's
has a
always
resonance.
oh no.
Resonance require a strong emotion, and not everybody is currently feeling a strong emotion. Actually, it's much rarer to find a resonance than it is to not find a resonance.
Okay.
particularly in blood that is not fresh, I would be more concerned about the fact that some of them still hold resonance at all.
I have no truck with this magic, whatever it is,
Well,
as long as it stays fresh or at least nourishing.
it would help in a pinch.
Indeed.
Priscilla just puts the one she had grabbed up and just kind of starts driving. Kind of grabs like probably like a phone stylus so she doesn't have to blush for life and just kind of taps on the GPS a couple times, make sure everything's in order.
And you're heading northwest out of Chicago. And you set forth. And as you're driving right now, as you reach the outskirts of Chicago, the traffic lightens up. It gets a little bit easier driving once you're out this way as you're heading away from the city. Does this, I hesitate to use the word coterie, does this group or kindred have any talk on the way about maybe what they found? Maybe they want to share something, or is it a van ride of silence?
I think I'll mention like, well, there's no seatbelts, but
I mean,
in my
Priscilla,
in the back.
maybe. Priscilla initially was like, get in, losers, it's story time. Um, yeah, so once everyone's kind of settled and they've made their ways at least a little bit, um, she'd probably eventually let up and be the first one to speak. So she'd be like, yeah, so mm, let's put it this way. Let's make it simple. I got a pack of sorts. Was able to reach out to some of them. A couple of them have been up that way. And apparently the Camarilla that are up there are a little, I don't know, along the lines of the Anarchs. They don't really like they consider themselves Tower, but it's almost like they consider themselves others. They call themselves the Loyalist.
So pseudo tower.
Potentially. There is a bit of an anarch presence at a particular saloon, and I did manage to get word of where we would be able to find it, the one Miss Lydia.
That would be the last chance saloon, I'm guessing.
For the anarchs, yes. But your
I
people.
reached. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, she's just asking what your people get you.
I reached out to some of mine, and oddly enough, for such a small town, 4 people have gone missing within the last 4 years. Though the police seem to think they're just runaways, but we all know how that goes.
One a year.
Indeed. They did not mention if it was at the same time of year.
What time of year is it, storyteller? Is it like now?
It's now.
Like, I mean, it seems well, it is that time of year. You know, whoever may be doing some weird rituals or whatnot, but dismissing them.
particularly if
don't
there
know.
are Tremere involved.
I don't know much about that stuff, but uh, I mean, it does sound kind of odd if it is one per year.
Loyalist is a term some Tremere who have not fallen in with Karna use to describe themselves. If Lydia
Gosh.
is a using this term, she may be attempting to repent for the crime that has sent her away from the Chantry here. The town is too small, though, to reasonably maintain even her hunger.
Unless she is feeding on the rats.
There can't be that many rats in a town with less than 700 people.
It is
Who would be
Indiana.
surprised?
There's lots of corn.
And that means a lot of dead rats.
You look nice, maybe. Full blown city type rats? I wouldn't think so.
It still takes like 7 or 8 of them to equate just a sip of a mortal.
Well,
So
True.
a lot of rats piles up quick.
I mean, they're little juice boxes with legs, so it's not meant to be super nourishing. I mean, you gotta have the taste for it.
They are rather delightful conversationalists as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
To each their own.
Last Chance Saloon is one of the oldest buildings in the city, town. There's also a diner and a motorcycle shop. Apparently, the motorcycle shop has been there since it was founded. Probably was a motorcycle shop at that building.
Hmm. Were you able to find out any more of the history of the town?
The tourists seem to come to the cemetery. Uh, those kind of ghost hunter shows that have been popular in recent years. Mortals with cameras going out and finding things in the dark that shouldn't be found.
If they find anything at all.
If they find anything at all. Correct. There
Paranormal, the glitz and glamour.
and there is a hotel, which may be one of the should we have to stay long enough to need feeding.
Well,
Tourists getting are generally a better pick than the locals.
well, I have to go out and find my own food. Uh, and then humans just don't do it for me.
I am not particular, though I prefer to indulge in one that deserves it.
That is admirable of you.
Oh, if the need arises for myself, I'll let at least one of you know that'll be stepping away. I something sometimes happens. And it's best to have privacy and no other bodies in the way so that I am able to take care of it swiftly in return.
As you're driving, Priscilla, you notice fog has started to roll in that was not there before, very rapidly. And it's goes from just a little fog here and there to very thick fog. But the rest of you notice something odd as well. Wisps of the fog seem to be seeping in around the door in places, which is not normal.
Immediately stopping the vehicle. Guys, the fuck? What? I people say things like Carta and everything. This is out of my wheelhouse. The fuck?
Does this trigger anything with Sense the Unseen?
Go ahead and roll it.
In this case, it would be Wits.
Yes. No, it's actually resolve all specs because
Resolve
you're
on this
trying.
one?
Yes. If you're attempting to use it yourself, it's a resolve. If I roll it for you, it's wits. And we shall see how you do. The best way to do when you're doing anytime you do a something with the discipline, use the plus by the discipline and then roll the die on the stat, because otherwise you don't have an option for a die there. It's really weird. And in this case, as you can see, it through wits, auspex, though. Looks like the dice were right anyway, though. So it added one extra die for some reason. That's weird.
Mm.
But we'll let you go with it.
No,
The fog is not
yeah.
normal. There is something with it. It's definitely, if you didn't know better, because fog can't have this, there's an intelligence behind the fog as it's searching in the vehicle. And the fog is comprised of a overabundance of magic.
Caleb tries his best to maneuver away from it,
Hmm.
but with his bulk, it's almost impossible to do so.
What does it smell like? Just have an odd odor.
Smells wrong. There's a dampness to it, but there is a wrongness, something, combination of decaying meat, wet fur.
Wet fur.
Mm-hmm.
Some what's going on here? Smells what is this? A fog on inside?
This is not natural fog.
Right.
Something.
Do we have to step out and do we keep going or
Looking on the GPS, is there a workaround, basically?
The GPS route that it's showing you is just telling you to keep going straight.
But if I were to look at the
If you
map itself,
you could double back and find a workaround to it.
yeah, alternate route.
Turn around. Please give me. I want a very particular roll. Let me pull up my notes here. Please give me resolve plus composure. It's not really a willpower check because we're not adding humanity, but resolve plus composure, please.
So glad you did not ask for a drive pull. Okay.
Oh, no.
You know what? I will blood search resolve.
Go ahead.
Hot damn passes. I've done 2 rouses and both of them came up with the fancy onks.
It's always a game of risk. Eventually you'll fail.
Don't need it. I am going to crit fish.
Yep, you can willpower that one since it's not actually a willpower roll.
Oh, wait, that's right. My bad.
No, it's not a willpower roll, so you can.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me go ahead. No. Damn. No crit, but that's going to be 4.
4. You turn the vehicle around pretty easily in the road. The fog still seeps in, but as it seeps into your van, it does dissipate quickly after it gets in the van, but it's definitely seeping in ways it shouldn't. But as you turn around and start driving down the road, you notice the GPS still says you're going the same direction you were.
Oh, that was odd.
Kind of taps the screen with the stylus. Wait, is this that planetary bullshit that people are always talking about? Tap, tap, tap.
And it's
Tap,
still
tap, tap.
updating and moving you forward on the road the direction you were driving, even though you turned around.
Welcome to the Goblin Roads, Priscilla.
Yeah, no, I haven't. No, It's not that I'm unfamiliar. It's just I haven't. I've avoided this area since this technology's come out because of this shit. Fuck. She just kind of drops the stylus.
Pulls out the Bible from his pocket. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me besides the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of the righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
And with the amen, there's a thunk on top of the van. A very loud thunk, almost as if something has landed on it.
Is there like an indent? Can we see like if there is?
There are 2 indents, roughly paw foot combination shaped.
I would like to rouse prowess, please.
Go ahead.
Hunger 2.
Your beast. It actually speaks in this place, but it does not speak in a voice that you can understand. It's jabbering. It is panicked. It's not right. There's something, a bigger curse.
Can I use sense the beast to see if the type of hostility this target is?
I like that one. I do like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good use of that one. Go ahead and sense the beast,
sure.
which is, let's see, it's resolve plus animalism. We shall see how you do.
I'm just trying to. So, oh yeah, I click on the plus.
Yep, the plus by
Okay.
animalism, and then drag the die for your resolve right into your window.
Okay.
Then we shall see what you get.
3 successes.
3 on 4 dice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You sense there's something supernatural up there. You can't tell if it's hostile or not, but you can feel the supernatural radiating off it. It's nothing you've ever sensed in anything that you've come across, ever.
This says it would. I mean, I guess it depends on the success, but it said since hostile to the target and
Yeah, you can tell the hostility, but on critical wins, you could find out a lot more than that.
critical. Oh, it's not critical. Critical would give me the exact
Right.
type
You
of
can
creature.
just determine whether they harbor a supernatural beast, making them vampire or werewolf. It is supernatural up there.
This
That's all I can tell you.
this is not anything I've ever encountered in the wilds. I can't tell if it's hostile or not. That's the odd thing.
God
Go
damn it.
faster. See if we can shake it off.
Priscilla will take that advice, but she'll take one hand and briefly kind of like put it up and she will also attempt, says the beast.
Go ahead. Resolve an animalism for you as well. I'm going to roll my opposing roll.
Is there a passageway from the back to the front seat?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Okay. Brother Jacob is going to go and get into the passenger seat while Priscilla is doing her thing.
Okay.
That is 4 successes on 7 dice.
Now, since the beast detects whether something's hostile, but in this place of the goblin roads where reality shifts along with everything, what you get strikes you as very odd. You don't feel hostility, feel amusement.
That's what I thought. This is a distraction.
So something's toying with us, then keep on going.
She'll take a sharp corner, try to get the thing off.
So you're going to accelerate and shake the wheel to try to shake it.
Mm-hmm.
And when the first time you start to do that, the dents that are above you, the roof tears as claws sink in,
All right.
getting it
Lock
purchased.
and load them.
All right. I'm going to, once I see claws, I'll shing out my feral weapons.
Okay.
Um,
It's using
So
its
I'll-
claws to hold purchase to keep it from being shook free
okay.
in some sort of odd. Well, for those who saw Teen Wolf riding the top of the van parody.
Brother Jacob's going to roll down the window,
Okay.
take his right arm, wrap it around the seatbelt, and tug on it real quick so that it activates, so that
Mhm.
it's taut. Reach and look out so that he's sitting on the window and looking on the top of the van towards the back of the van.
As you look up, this is the oddest thing. Never seen anything like this. It is vaguely man-shaped, 8 foot tall. But behind it extends bat wings, giant bat wings. Its hands are twisted, clawed in both hands. You can't see the feet, but judging by what pierced through, it's the same kind of claws. They're almost hands closer to owl than, because bats don't have clawed hands. And his hands are definitely not at the end of the wings, but the wings are bat wings that extend out. His face is 100% bat. And it's grinning at you with a smile.
Is there something that we can help you with?
I'll activate Daunt.
Okay, you can activate it. You can wait till you see him because you can't daunt him until he looks at you. Where are you going, little
Okay.
man?
There is a town we've been sent to. We have someone to find.
I smell the stink of death in that vehicle. Has anyone told you your kind are not welcome here?
We plan to be as brief with our stay as possible.
You have not paid the toll. You do not have an escort. You are foolhardy, or stupid, or food. Which is it?
Pride has always been one of my greater failings. Foolhardy is most likely the appropriate.
I like honesty. I have advice for you, little man. Do not read from your book in here. Some of us can hear that. Some of us don't like that.
Is it because you have fallen, or is it because you believe you are not of the Lord?
It's funny because as he's talking and laughing, his voice isn't loud enough to normally have been heard over the wind, but the wind is not affecting his voice at all as he's up here. Some of us have fallen. Some of us have turned our back to the light. Some of us were not from the light in the first place. For me, I find it annoying. For others, it is rage. That is my advice, little man.
I shall take it in good health.
You be wary where you go. It sleeps. I see it in your mind where you're going. I know it sleeps. And if it wakes, you will not return. And then it jumps off the top of the vehicle, and its bat wings, with an audible snap, are fully unfurled, and you see it just glide away in the fog, leaving eddies behind it. Right here, everybody. We're going to go to break. Going to leave you hanging with the next rest of this. See, please, everybody. The break for this miniseries right now is, of course, the Windy City break, because I haven't had time to make a dedicated break for it because breaks take a lot of time. So please enjoy the Windy City break, even though it's not Windy City. We will see everybody in 10 minutes when the counter counts down. Be back soon. Welcome back, everybody. Well, before the break, this coterie was, well, I shouldn't say coterie. You're not really a coterie yet. This group of kindred were tasked by Island Sovereign to go to the town of Harfield, Indiana, to find out the whereabouts of a messenger. Of course, anytime you leave Chicago, you have to worry about the dangers of the Goblin Roads. And in this particular group's case, they met one of the entities that live in the Goblin Roads. Though after a brief discussion with Brother Jacob there, and a bit of advice given by this thing, it has departed. Now, for the coterie in the vehicle, you all really couldn't make out the words of what it was saying. But Brother Jacob, you could hear them clearly. You don't know why. But as we open up in the second half of this episode, we're going to open up back in the vehicle as Brother Jacob, I assume, sticks his head back in the window and rolls it back up.
What was out there? What? And it's gone? And it's going to come back?
I can't say whether or not it's going to come back.
Out of character, quick clarification note. How much of that roof got ripped up?
Just
Like, do we basically have a new sunroof?
No, you have 3 holes and then 3 more holes. 3 claws coming each side and just ripped holes. So you've
it's
got
not like,
6 holes in the top.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
What was that thing?
A man bat of sorts would be the best description I could give. What it actually was, whether that was a demon or some other entity, I could not say.
Demons are real.
Yes, demons are very real.
Oh, great. One more thing to worry about.
I thought this existence was bad enough.
They usually don't interact with our kind.
Let's see. Well, hope it's smooth sailing from now on.
As far as uh, the direction we are heading, are we still on course or do we need to turn? What is going on here?
You're in the front seat. You can see the GPS. It looks like you're on course still, even though she never turned the vehicle back around a second time.
He's assuming that the fog's still prevalent. So
Yes, it's still sneaking in. It's even sneaking in the holes in the ceiling, but it dissipates shortly after it gets in the vehicle, like real fog. But the
Hmm.
fact that it's penetrating in through the holes is not real fog.
Um, so does this place have any electrical tape?
You dig around the back of the vehicle. You do find in a small satchel some rolls of duct tape.
Well, I don't know how well it's gonna block out the light if we need it in a pinch, if it's even enough. Are the size of these holes, uh,
Put them silver dollar sized each one.
yeah, if we're all clustered in here and we need to sleep in here, um, that's gonna pose a problem.
Is there a road blanket or anything we can tape up?
Sure, there is. I'll let you go with that. There's blankets in there.
yeah, Priscilla would actually ask someone to like get her duffel bag and pass it to the front, and she'll put it in her lap, and there's probably like a scarf, and like a nice heavy scarf, probably cashmere. She has the resources for it. Yeah, just and she'll kind of toss it, and then she'll ruffle a little bit more tape. There you go.
Okay, let's MacGyver this.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'll just try to black out as many holes as there are right now. If I had to tear this thing, sorry.
She would
Um,
actually give you permission for that. She was about to say that. Nope, took the words right out of my mouth.
I
Caleb
will
will assist with his abnormally long arms to hold things in place while you tape.
I use a
Not
mass
hard.
amount of duct tape.
It's not hard. You managed to tape it up there. Oddly enough, once you get the tape up there with the scarfing and everything, the fog no longer pushes itself through there. It's still coming in through the side doors of this place and a little bit through the back door, which is odd because if the vehicle's moving forward, it shouldn't be coming in, but it is.
Is there a dust double or any sort of hand vacuum?
No, that's the one thing
No.
there's not in this vehicle.
There's a different assortment of things in Priscilla's bag. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that will do for that. I don't know if a scarf will repel anything else, but for now, no more unnatural fog coming through those.
For Brother Jacob and Priscilla, you're in the front seats. You can see clearly through the window. As you're riding through this dense fog, you catch glimpses of people moving in the fog. Sometimes you catch glimpses of places in the fog, like you're looking into a living room, looking into an office, looking into something that's not there, can't be there. You even think you recognize some of the people. Sometimes you could almost swear you're seeing events you've seen once before from your own eyes as glimpses in the fog.
Just gonna increase speed a little bit because Priscilla wants to get the fuck up off these goblin roads.
Do we know how far this Goblin Road it extends?
I know what.
Well, we can answer that question as you drive. Drive. And after about 2 hours, you suddenly feel different. The Goblin Roads, the fog seems to relax a bit, eases up. And the very first thing you see is a sign. Welcome to Harfield, Indiana. Population 665. Enjoy your stay.
Well,
And it is a ramshackle town in every sense of the word that you would expect with such a low population. The buildings are old. The road not well maintained. There's no fancy vehicles parked. There's a number of shops, but all the shops are partially run down and at this hour, of course, closed. But coming in through the town, the first thing you see that's not the sign and not dilapidated building, you see the Last Chance Saloon filled with motorcycles parked all out front. But it's just one little place as you're driving in. The address that seems to be programmed into it seems to be taking you somewhere in particular. You believe it would be the hotel as you drive further in, though there's some oddness with this GPS. It's glitching at times. Sometimes it shows you going down side roads you're not on. Sometimes it jumps back to a spot you've already been. Though you're still driving. You're straight down, well, South Hyatt Street. Seems to be taking you right into the main part of town. There's nobody walking the streets at this hour. Everyone must be asleep. Though, again, Last Chance Saloon was open.
Two things I noticed right off the bat. One, isn't it just perfectly splendid, and I mean that in the most sarcastic sense possible, that the Anarchs have the place to kind of hold themselves up for watch right when you get in town. Perfect place to hold yourself up if you're trying to do something or trying to get away from something. Secondly, whoever put this address into this GPS, she'll kind of whack at it a couple times. If I remember correctly, before it started to act up. Remember how I said I got confirmation of where Miss Lydia is staying? The hotel it was taking us to. Well, the address is to that hotel, and we were already pre-described to go directly to her. I find that quite curious from one that's been exiled.
If she is the only thing representing the tower in this town, it would not be uncommon for the only known ally to be the location that we were sent to.
An ally in exile. I would love to hear that explanation.
She's still of the tower. She may not be welcome in so-called proper society.
tower in name only.
It seems they've left a few details out.
Kindred who have been exiled from the tower tend to have a want to be back in. Those who are kicked out, who are not thought to be of the mindset to return or to want to return, usually happen to have a run-in with the dawn rather than be allowed to join the enemy.
Well, we should see what this person knows about quarry. That would probably be the best place to start.
As you're moving through, drive past a rather impressive cornfield. The road, it's off to your left, to the west of you, I would assume. When I say impressive, it's October, and you are in one of the areas of the U.S. that normally is a little bit chillier. What makes this impressive is the corn is green, very healthy. The chill air of the night and the chill days that you've had have not seemed to negatively impact this particular corn. You drive past the field further in where you see a very old church. It's not kept up well. It seems to be in a very bad state of disrepair. And what you assume a graveyard in front of it. And the reason I say what you assume a graveyard is you see a few flashlights that appears to be moving around the graveyard this time of night. Perhaps the ghost hunters you heard of. But the road itself has very few side streets until you get very close to where you assume is the center of town. Because as you come to an intersection where the Hyatt Street and Main Street intersect, you can see the Hotel Harfield. Looks like it's an old mill and associated outbuildings that were converted to a hotel of some kind. You would place the building built circa late 1800s. It's got a sign out front with a light that shines on it. The sign itself is not lit, except only by the spotlights that point at it. It says right in there, big letters, Hotel Harfield. There's side parking to the building. There's no gates blocking the side parking. You don't even see a security guard watching the parking area. With a town this small, they must not see a lot of crime. But there is a doorman in front. What is this group of kindred doing?
Just real quick, storyteller, before we get to that, can we tell what denomination the church that we passed was?
Yes, it was called the United Methodist Church. Though I would guess that you suspect it hasn't been used in a number of years.
And there were no other churches in town.
No other
you saw.
churches that you saw. None at all.
So this being a touristy town and like the right time of year, I guess, for this kind of stuff, uh, is the hotel, I shouldn't say packed, but is it seem busy or any activity?
There's a number of cars. There's 12 different cars in the side parking lot.
Okay.
One or two minivans. Most of them are sedans. All of them look like rentals.
Hmm. So you have some choices. Push comes to shove. I mean, we can just go out and
Yeah.
meet our contact here.
Assuming we've parked, Brother Jacob is going to head towards the hotel. Get out and head towards the
Okay.
hotel.
Who all is, I assume you parked unless Priscilla decides not to park. Who all is going towards the hotel? Now, I'm going to remind you, Caleb. I'm going to remind you, Caleb, under V5, Nosferatu aren't automatically a masquerade breach being revealed, though in your case, you will look like a big hulking thing.
Mhm.
It's not an automatic masquerade breach, but it is a tension gathering for sure.
He's going to find a patch of shadows and disappear and keep watch outside.
Okay.
I'll, I'll leave the rifle inside. Don't want to cause any more alarm than should be, and head out with the other two.
And Priscilla will go with Brother Joseph, I believe it is, that's also approaching the hotel. And with those sort of, I think you said something along the lines of there was something to indicate like around um, when the hotel itself was built. I'm wondering with my architecture specialty and academics if there's anything I might be able, like from just my knowledge in that. And now that I'm here, kind of seeing that it's a tourist city, anything that I can just learn from looking at the building that can tell me anything to the history or maybe how well in modern day it's being kept up if she is kind of trying to be some sort of pseudo prince or something.
Okay.
Maybe try to see if it's a kind of Elysium.
Intelligence architecture,
Okay, let's see. That
which I know you have a
is,
specialization in architecture. So,
yes, that's going to be 7 days.
yep. It's intelligence academics, technically, with your architecture specialization.
Oh my god, I am burning through the willpower tonight. I am not going. No, this is her wheelhouse. Storyteller, just to tickle you, I'm going for a messy crit.
Okay.
That dice is cocked. 5 messy crit.
5 was a messy crit.
Yeah.
As you're walking up to the building, this is another one of those cases. I'm not a fan of messy crits when you're doing knowledge checks. I think that's a silly rule. As you're walking to the building, you notice that the cornerstone of the building, it's one of the first things as an architecture studier of architecture you would understand to look at. It says 1865, but there's a darkening around it. It looks like smoke damage, perhaps, because someone has laid another cornerstone above it of 1889. You suspect that this building burnt down somewhere between 1865 and 1889. But looking at it, you can tell sometime very recently, maybe within the last 5 years, it has been modernized quite a bit because the windows are modern double pane windows. The paint is, while it is appropriate to the era, the paint does not show the weathering that something of this age would have. The stones have been, some you can see that have been replaced in many spots from where, well, based on the blackening of some of the other stones, a fire had damaged and cracked. But it's definitely been spruced up to serve as a tourist hub. Stay at the fancy old place, even though it's not quite as old as it used to be.
Noted.
And as
Did,
you go ahead,
sorry, did Sovereign provide a surname for Lydia
no, he
or
did not.
just Lydia?
Just Lydia.
They have a description.
He gave you
Right.
no description either. Funny the small details he doesn't consider important.
Does the doorman do anything besides open the door as we approach?
When you approach the door, he nods at you. Ah, checking in. Please go to the front desk, ring the bell, and someone will come out.
Thank you, sir.
If you have any baggage or anything you would like moved from your vehicle, let me know and I will get a porter to come and get it.
Once we get checked in, we can make the proper arrangements, but thank you.
Very good. Have a nice stay at Hotel Harfield.
Did we actually have reservations here? I say that kind of quickly to Brother Jacob. Or do we really plan on staying? I mean, it's nice.
And the entryway as you step in, it's definitely decorated to match the era and as a mill. There's actually corn husks hung on the wall, dried corn in places, millstones, old gears, and some of them have little plaques that say when they're from. Most of them note that they are from the original site before it was remodeled. And as you get up to the desk, it's a large cherry wood check-in desk. There's a little bell, and you don't see anybody behind the desk, but there's a little sign that says ring bell for service.
Rings the bell.
And a young man steps out. You'd put him early 20s, maybe late teens, but your guess is still early 20s. Sandy blonde hair. Name tag on it says Alan. And he steps over to you. Well, welcome to the Harfield Hotel. I haven't seen you before, so you must be new check-ins. We have single occupancy, double occupancy. How many rooms do you need? And the first thing that strikes you as odd is he's not batting an eye at the hour you've arrived for check-in.
Do you have any adjoining rooms available?
Yes, we can get how many rooms would you need? I know we have a few of single adjoining. We have one double adjoining. I don't know. How many rooms would you need?
At least 2 if we're looking at doubles.
Very good. Yes, I can arrange that. The cost is $125 a night per room.
I just look at Priscilla.
Uh,
Go round on the house. Why the hell not?
Brother Jacob has already pulled out 300 and handed it over.
And he takes it and he pulls a book. Please sign in here. If this was a modern place, I'd ask for licenses, but we like the small town feel. So we're going to trust that you'll, since you're paying for one night, you'll check out tomorrow's at 10 a.m. We have a special checkout. You can also check out at 10 p.m. You just please hang a sign outside your door that you're a late checkout, and the housekeeper will avoid your room.
That'd be
We,
good.
we don't exactly know. It may be a short trip. It may be a few nights. Can we consider this a deposit?
Yes, sir. That's not a problem.
You can trust that we'll make good for the rest when the time comes.
Oh, I'm sure you will. People who skip out on payment don't generally, the karma gets them eventually.
They generally also don't put a deposit down.
That too. And he pulls out 2 keys, and both of them are on the 3rd floor. It's 304 and 306. That's an adjoining room.
I take one.
If you need anything else, of course, you can ring the front desk. If you need to have any help bringing your luggage up, please let the doorman know.
Of course.
And you hear the door, an elevator ding. And then the sound of high heels on stone floor is the first thing you hear as a woman wearing a business skirt with a loose fitting blouse comes around the corner. She's got black hair. It's well kept, actually, down to her shoulders. She's wearing a number of rings on her finger. As she walks up and she eyeballs the 3 of you. Well, welcome to Hotel Harfield.
Are you the owner?
I am the mistress of the establishment. You can call me Lydia. I was told you were coming.
Yes.
If you'd follow me, I will take you to your rooms.
Can I scry the soul on her real quick?
Excuse me?
I was going to use scry the soul.
Go ahead. Let's see. Roll for her. You've cursed my dice. The margin is 3. So you can ask me 3 questions.
If I remember correctly, the role requires why doesn't it
You click on describe the soul dot, it pulls up the whole thing on it. On a win, I answer truthfully. Number of questions equal to your margin, which is 3 about the aura and psyche, and there's a whole list of things you can ask.
yeah, it's just not there we go. Since she's already announced herself of who she is, I'm going to skip the part about seeing whether or not she is supernatural. And has she committed Diablo in the last year?
No, she has not. You do not see any black flecks, and it could be even longer than the past year because it stays a number of years equal to the difference in generation. But she has none of the black flecks in her aura that would show that she had Diablerized. That's
Is
question 1.
she under the subject or influence of blood sorcery or any other magic?
No, her aura is 100% hers. There's no other magic influencing her aura, shaping it or changing its color.
And what is her emotional state?
The color of her aura is a purplish tinge, which, as far as you know, you've equated that with curiosity.
It is good to meet you, Lydia. We have actually been hoping to run into you.
I was told there was a 4th member of your group.
Oh, he's around.
He is, we'll say, shy. Have you ever heard the term sewer emo?
Yes, I've heard there's lots of terms for that.
Yes.
There is a freight elevator that stops at each floor that the hotel staff uses for the cleaning carts. He can come in through the back. If you wish, we can go get him now and I can escort him in. Or I can take you to your rooms and then we can bring him in. It's up to you, your choice.
Let's go and get him, and we can talk along the way.
Very good. I will follow you because I don't know where he is.
Head outside and head towards the van.
And as you head outside, you notice the way she walks, you can still hear the clack of her high heels on the stone, but she actually walks with both hands behind her back. She's very restrained in her body motions, as if she's calculating all of her movements precisely. And when she gets even within 10 feet of the door, the doorman instantly pulls it open for her. Ma'am. And she just smiles as you go through the door and you step into the cool night air. We don't get many visitors out here of, shall we say, the nocturnal type.
Well, that is. Have you had any of late?
No. Perhaps. We'll have to talk about that inside.
Understood.
The night air is not the place for good discussions. We'll say that. Heavy discussions weigh a bit much out here. And as you come around the corner, Caleb, you see them walking with this woman.
He'll cast his glance around back and forth to make sure there's no other watchers besides the group. And if he does not see anyone, he will come out of the shadows.
And there's no one walking around out here. It's, like I said, it's a bedroom community. Everybody's going to sleep. And when you step out of the shadows, she just looks and smiles, doesn't even bat an eye. I can see where having your friend come in through the front door would be problematic, though I will tell you, you will find many of the people in this town have a very relaxed view about normal. I doubt you will raise too much suspicion other than your obvious size.
Mm.
Looking
Also
at the size
considering
of
the
you,
time of year.
And when you say relaxed attitude towards normal, what exactly do you mean?
well, They're an isolated town, and most of their contact with the outside world is the tourists, so they've not nearly as conservative as you may find in some places like this. They are forgiving of differences, I will say. With your size and bulk, some of the old ladies around here might ask you to help them change a tire if they happen to have a flat. So please follow me around to the back. I can take you through the service entrance and up the service freight elevator.
Thank you.
And as she walks around to the back, you notice it's quiet, but you hear the same squeaking of animals you hear behind almost any place that has humans in it. Rats moving around, scuttling a bit. Stray cat here and there. Even catch a glimpse of a stray dog wandering around as she takes you to the back to obviously a loading dock where they bring stuff in and out. And as you go up into the stairs, she pulls a key out of her pocket. No key cards in this place. And unlocks the door and takes you in the back. And right ahead of you, right off the main loading dock, is a freight elevator. And beside the elevator is lined up all the housekeeping carts for the next day's housekeeping sweep. And as you're gathered together, she says, of course, you will want to put your late checkout notice in front of your doors. You do not want the cleaning staff to interrupt you during your important business during the day. Please step on the elevator, and there's no lock or anything that prevents the elevator from being used. You just hit the button and it opens immediately because it happens to be on the ground floor. And as you load up in the elevator, walls are padded like every freight elevator you've seen. Smells that musty, dusty freight mix of oil and oldness as she steps in and pushes the third floor, which, to your knowledge, you have not told her what floor you're staying on yet.
Does it say on the keys?
No, you have, well, your keys say it, but I'm not sure that you hung them where you could just held them out to be seen. And as you ride in this elevator, it's a freight elevator, it's rather slow. She goes, well, we don't get a lot of nocturnal visitors around here. It's rather rare, actually, and I tell you, four at once is positively a stir. Be the talk of the town.
Something tells me you've got your fingers in a lot of pies involving this place.
Well, this is where I stay. You can consider this a haven for you all while you're in town. Compliments of the tower. I will make sure, I'm not sure who paid for the rooms, but I will make sure your deposit is refunded and your rooms are refunded. I think of it as a gesture of goodwill from the official representative in the city.
That is awfully gracious of you.
Well, we try to be polite and friendly and welcoming around here. It's, like I said, not often we get many visitors. And the door opens up and she steps off to the third floor and immediately takes a left, going right towards the rooms you were assigned.
Mhm.
And she walks up to 306 and she pulls out a key ring and inserts a key and opens the door. Master key. It makes it real easy. This is your room, and here's your other room. And she goes next door down and opens it. And as you step inside, I mean, it's a double occupancy, but the rooms are rather spacious. But there's an oddity you immediately notice coming in. The curtains are heavy blackout, but there's shutters on the inside of the windows of this room. Heavy, solid shutters.
No in or out?
Well, they're on the inside for a reason. Come morning, before you sleep, close the shutters, pull the blackout curtains, and you will find not a bit of sunlight will enter your rooms.
You're awfully well prepared for someone who doesn't get a lot of nocturnal visitors.
Well, we don't get many, but it happens from time to time. And
Yes.
if nothing else, we can at least show some hospitality. And if you'd care to close the door, we can have a chat. And she opens the adjoining door between the rooms so that everyone can mingle.
Mhm.
I don't know who I'm speaking with. I am, of course, Lydia. And you are?
Trevor.
Caleb.
Mm. Miss Caspian.
I'm Brother Joseph.
And your rather large hulking friend?
Oh, Caleb.
I will admit to a fair bit of curiosity about what sends four kindred of the towers from Chicago to here. Did you run into any troubles on the road here? I've heard it can be quite nasty.
Nothing that would be too much of a bother. However, if there is a auto body shop in town, there is some branch fell on the roof of the van.
Hmm.
Punctures, made some punctures that could be dealt with.
I'm sure if you pop over to Rob's motorcycle shop, Vera, she's a whiz with fixing anything. They do some sheet metal work, normally repairing gas tanks and stuff on motorcycles. I'm sure she could do something to fix it up. She's got a welder, some sheet metal. I'm sure she could patch up whatever holes you got. Awful thin roof of a van if holes got punched in it.
Well, I'm not
It's
very
a heavy branch.
knowledgeable of cars.
Well, let me give you the basic rules here. Of course, you have free use of the hotel. You can count it as your haven. We will abide by the sovereignty of your rooms. We will consider these rooms your private domain. I will not enter and I will not send any of my people in without prior permission, as befits visitors from the Tower of Chicago. You are not to feed on any of the employees of this hotel or the guests of the hotel, whether on grounds or not. And we have to be very careful with our feeding here it would not do for the reputation of this place if there was a lot of anemia that occurred due to overzealous feeding.
What are the local wildlife?
I'm sure you'll find lots of wildlife. With a cornfield, we have lots of rats. I'm sure you've seen some stray dogs and cats. There's also, I dare say, a small wolf population that lurks around.
That could benefit me. Also, to that point, are there any campgrounds not affiliated with this hotel?
Unfortunately, no. The Chamber of Commerce has decided they wish to have all visitors to the town and all tourists stay here. They don't even allow, Airbnb or any other kind of pop-up bread and breakfasts or temporary renting of housing.
So I would have to hope to find some lovers wanting some privacy in the wilds.
I'm sure if
All right, that'll do.
I'm sure if you look, you can find that. As long as it is not hotel staff, of course, or guests or visitors. But between the cornfield and the graveyard, a number of this town do seem to have unique interests.
Those unique interests cause the occasional individual to disappear into thin air.
Please, everyone can give me a wits insight roll.
I
Would
have no insight.
would a detect lies specialty apply?
Sure, I will let you use that.
Okay. And how do I do that for Fantasy Grounds?
For Fantasy Grounds, where it says mod at the bottom left of your screen, hit the +1.
Yep.
I think I double rolled my wits. You want me to just roll it again?
Yep. The way I avoid double rolling is always click the plus by the skill and use the die for the stat. That's how I generally avoid double rolls, because it'll do weird stuff otherwise.
Just did it again. That's weird. Yeah, because I don't have anything in insight.
Then just roll wits. Just drag wits and drop it by itself. See if it rolls it correctly there.
Speaking of only having wits to roll, that's 3 successes on 3 dice and halfway to a crit.
Yeah, you know what they say. Nope, it's going to
Yeah,
double
it's
do it.
still-
It will double do it every time. So select insight. Even though you don't have it, select the insight and then roll it.
Okay.
And it should roll just that. Yep, there it goes.
There we go.
Learning Fantasy Grounds. It's a handy program, but it takes a little bit of learning. But it's really handy for looking things up. So we got 3 from Brother Jacob. That's pretty good. Trevor got a 2. That's pretty good. How many did you get, Priscilla? 3? So 3 is enough. You can tell at the mention of missing people, there's a twitch at the corner of her eye and a shuffle, and her hands are no longer behind her back. She's nervous about that topic.
Perhaps people is missing or less concern for us than a specific person.
And who would that be?
Well, as you had said, night visitors are rare. Has any others within the past week arrived and not left?
That would be Mr. Stanton. Arrived a week ago.
You also mentioned that you were the official. Are there others in the
Well,
city, in this town?
There's a rabble rouser that believes he can make this a anarch town. I don't agree with that, of course. This is Camarilla true and true. As for your friend Mr. Stanton, I have not seen him in 6 days. He stayed here one night. He did not check out, but he has not been around since.
Which room was he in?
He's actually was on the second floor, room 203.
He happened to mention to any of the staff where he might be going before he just did not return.
No, he came in the city. He apparently knew of me. He immediately identified himself to me. And then, I gave him the rules and he thanked me and went on his way.
Has the room been entered, or is it still under his rental?
It is under his rental. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to enter it because, as I've told you, I give you domain over your rooms. And with him not here, until I know for sure he is gone from the town, and let's be fair, 1 week for our kind is a drop in the bucket of time. I will not violate the sanctity of that domain at this time, unless you can show me some sort of evidence that it's perhaps needed. He could be sleeping in there for all we know. Our kind do take long naps every once in a while.
Storyteller, as a reminder, is Mr. Stanton the person that we were looking
Yes.
for, or did I?
Yep,
Yes.
Elliot Stanton.
So, if you will, we were sent here on behalf of Prince Jackson to find Mr. Stanton. He is overdue for a meeting. There is concern about his whereabouts. If we could have any assurance that would greatly go towards what we came here for.
You've been sent by Prince Jackson to investigate this.
By Seneschal Sovereign on behalf of
Prince Jackson.
Prince Jackson.
Sovereign is not one to take things like this on his own. Tell you what, if he is not returned by tomorrow night, I will allow entry to his room as a personal favor to the envoys of Prince Jackson.
That is fair of you.
And I hope that whenever this is resolved, you will, of course, relay my willingness to cooperate to the prince.
Your assistance
Of
will
course.
duly be noted.
Very good. Do you need any bags brought up?
Priscilla actually this whole time has had her gem duffel bag on her shoulder. This is all for me. I can take care of it.
Like most of our kind, you travel light.
So do I, but I do have. I don't know the gun laws around here.
Well,
But I
I'm
do
sure
have
if
a
you look
rifle.
around, you'll see many a pickup truck with a gun rack.
I blended just fine then.
Yes. They are liberals in their views, but you're still in rural parts of Indiana. If nothing else, people like to have it in case a deer needs to be put down when it jumps in front of the car. The deer seem to love the cornfield sometimes. Sometimes.
It's kind of interesting. The corn, you'd mistaken it to be summer.
As this town has always been blessed with rich harvest and a very fruitful growing cycle.
Hmm.
Well, I will let you all get settled in for the night, and we will speak tomorrow night. Please enjoy your stay here in Harfield. And she turns and walks from the room, closing the door behind her, leaving you in this room for what I think is going to be the final scene of this episode.
It's just me, but giving it another night, I don't know if we can. Another night will give her more time if she or anyone else is involved to
Yes,
dispose of any evidence.
that does give time for that, but at the same time, we're only grunts, peons, basically. We have to smile and say yes, but of course. You've been so gracious. Thank you so much. Of course, we can play safe and wait just one more night. And of course, if they do try to do anything, well, there's ways of knowing. There is a will, there is a way. Secrets have a way of getting out. Don't worry. Another night will be fine.
I'm not so sure. Call me the skeptic.
I can speak to some of the wildlife and perhaps convince them to keep watch for us.
I think that'd be useful.
We made the agreement that we would not enter the room. But if you were happen to talk to a mouse or a rat who finds them their way in there, perhaps a heads up might go be of service.
That can be arranged.
No. Is it like just eerily quiet in here, or is it?
There's a bit of creaking from the wind outside as the building of this age, even stone. There's building noises that come, but you don't hear other rooms. You don't hear. I mean, at this hour, I sure hope nobody's kids are running up and down the hall. Certainly not on a big wheel towards the elevator doors. Nothing like that is going to happen here yet.
So, approximately what time of night is it?
At this point, I would put it probably, let's say 3 a.m.
So we have a few hours.
The diner that we passed was
You
It's
didn't
far
pass
enough away.
you passed the saloon, not the
the
diner.
saloon. Okay.
Yes.
Looking out the windows, what can we see of the town?
Ah, now see, that's smart. Looking out the windows, you can see down the street on both directions. You actually can see a gas station, but the gas station, you can see the sign clearly because it's lit by a diner and motorcycle shop across the street from it. The gas station is burned down, half destroyed. They didn't rebuild it, but you can clearly see Rob's motorcycle shop and next to it, Rob's diner. They're not one building, they're two different buildings.
Do we want to send the van in tonight?
And the diner is open. The motorcycle shop is not, but the diner is obviously open at this hour.
We do have about 2.5 safe hours of moonlight.
While we may not be able to get it in, we may be able to drop it off. And if Rob's diner is connected to Rob's motorcycle shop,
Well,
we
the
may be able to
inside
get
of
in
our
there.
inside of the back is a little bit questionable. Do you think they'd pay no mind?
Well, of course, we can probably move the cooler
With the cooler, yes. We
up
can
into the
bring that into
room.
one of our rooms, but in my rifle and whatever else you have placed in there, just this was some sort of used for something else more, suspicious.
If you would like to continue to travel around in a vehicle with holes in it from some ungodly being,
Oh, I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying should we be aware that is a that might be a curiosity for them.
we we have a room. There's closets here if we need to keep things out of view.
No, no. You said there was stuff in the van that made us like it was made for storing people or like what were
Yeah,
say rings? Yeah.
Yeah,
the
restraint rings
rings.
welded to the ceiling
Yes.
along the framing.
That's what I'm
You
more
don't need
concerned
to
about.
see that. As far as I'm concerned, any damages incurred, I would be willing to take responsibility for what returning a loaner might entail. Hopefully, just financially, I can take care of it. But for now, the less of what we are and what we have that these people see of us, the better.
Mhm.
The holes in the roof are of little consequence. There aren't many who can look at them, as the van is a bit high off the ground.
I mean, they have to actually go into the back to take care of the hole, so they'll see.
I would remove the my duct tape scarf on the inside, but
No, and it should stay there. We still have to travel back, and you never know what we might run into.
just an idea. So we have eyes on the room. 203. So remember? Uh, let's. Do you want to explore? Do you want? We have a few hours of night, as you said.
Can we see the saloon from here?
No, you can't. From what you can see from where you're at, it really is quite a bit down the street from here. and at the angle and the lay of the land, you can only get a good glimpse of the church and graveyard and several side streets. But because you're on the third floor, you're overlooking most of the 2-story houses, and you can just barely in the distance see the corner rows.
If the saloon is still open, we may want to take a trip.
It would have to be a brief one.
And it's not that far, and it's always good to let the local rebels know that a certain presence is indeed present.
Well, it did say that my presence would not be overly remarked upon.
Darling, the fact that your tower says it all. You need to know that they just can't go around and do whatever it is that they please, wherever it is that they please, because eventually we're all going to come back around. Because if you think about it, the whole Lion King way of thinking that came from the whole way of thinking of how, England, all of its colonies, the sun never rests on it. The sun never actually rests on Camarilla territory because everything's already Camarilla territory.
Mhm. I think Emerald territory can be quite a liberal phrasing. Would they even allow such uprights? And I know they don't have the means to really do much about it, but upstarts.
The fact that they are not of the tower does not mean that we lose sight on our traditions. Hospitality and domain. We should make introductions.
At least to be polite.
At least to be polite. What good are our values if we don't uphold them?
We'll see what they know anyway. I guess that'd be a good idea. One more tower individual gone to them, but some insight, I guess. More and larger view of what's going on than just the ones we've been tasked to do. Would be.
Are you familiar with the term "the devil you know"?
Quite.
The devil.
I am the devil I know. What to it?
We have a job to do, and it would be better for us to figure out where this rabble is going to lie and what his intentions may be before we get to it. Because if it comes up at an unknown time, it could have less than desired results.
Well, if we're gonna do that, we better do it about now. So
That's what I've been saying. So,
yes.
shall we?
So, as this
Oh.
group of kindred that are not quite a coterie but are forced to work together set out to go to the Last Chance Saloon and meet some people, I think right here we're actually going to end episode 1 of Bloodied Fields. And first of all, I'd like to thank my players here for the fun of this one. They are in for, well, a fun ride. Welcome to a Shanky game. Good luck guessing what's going on until you find out.
Also, no one died like you predicted.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Give it time. The potential for death was there. Combat was not the right answer to what you found on the Goblin Roads. Combat was a quick one-way trip.
All I did was precautionary stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
That's just shinked claws. That's it.
But
I mean,
as we go into our outro, everybody, please, as always, everybody, if you want to join us on our Discord, pop over to our Discord. The Discord is where we cast this show. It's where we do weekly Zoom hangouts when we can. Our schedule this week has been rather hectic and we've not been able to do one. Last week, I'm sorry, date day with my wife takes precedence over a Zoom hangout with the community because, to be fair, I owed my wife a date day and I was not going to ruin that date day by saying we have a time limit on a date day. So
happy wife, happy life.
That's right. Even if she does stream with me, there's a reason I haven't been divorced yet. And there, I'll throw that yet in there too. So of course, pop over to Discord. That is where we cast this. So when we post a casting call, all these players did was say they wanted to play with me. And from all the ones who asked to play, I picked a group to play with us. And boom, guess what? You see them here. If you want to catch back episodes of Windy City, all our vampire, werewolf, changeling, mage, wraith, paranoia, Bluebeard's Bride, Monster Hearts. Dear God, we've got so much back content. It is astounding. You can pop over to our YouTube, give us a follow there, give us a subscribe on YouTube. A good way to catch that. You want to catch some amazing content creators? Check our friends list over here. And there's some more amazing content creators, which I'm going to get to in a minute as I let some of these players let you know where you can find them. But we're going to get to that in a second. I want to make sure everybody knows, so you're aware, bits and donations, they go to the players. The studio, the only thing the studio keeps from bits and donations is taxes, because we get taxed all the fucking hell on it. So bits and donations, if you want to give to the players, give some bits, or as my wife likes to say, show your biddies, or donate through the link there over to Stream Elements, and you can donate or give bits to the players, and that goes to them, not to the studio. If you want to support the studio, subscribe on Twitch or pop over to our Ko-fi. That's how you support the studio. But bits and donations are for the players, for their hard work and the effort that goes into doing this, because it's a lot of work to put on a show like this. Even if you don't, behind the scenes, it's a lot of effort. Trust me. Time is money, and spare time doing it. We love to do it. We do it to share stories, but anything people give to the players is always a good thing. And before I go into this next week's schedule, I'm going to let Diviner Astrid, where can people find you? What can they find you doing?
Yeah, so best place to find me is going to be Twitter, diviner_Astrid, nice and simple for you. You'll see stuff there on my Ko-fi, where I currently have a Halloween sale and new day job sale going on, 25% off. I read tarot, there's retrograde regress spreads, crystals, all that sort of fun, good stuff. I do my own little Twitch game thing, Tucson by Night. Night Road helped to solidify that. I got Kyle Marquis in my back pocket, basically. So it's great. I have a lot to thank him for finally, just making an amazing game and giving me the last dredges that I need to make something that, even before Night Road was announced, I really, really wanted to do. I'll have that link in chat shortly. That's Dark Standard Tabletop. There's also a Twitter for that. You can also find me doing various tabletop things. The Star Trek thing's going to come up eventually, where I got roped into being ship captain. That's very nervous making. But that's over on Table of Horrors. And right now, it also kind of limited series, just because the storyteller, kind of like this one, doesn't know how to keep his plate empty. But yeah, there's a London game where I play a Bahari Ravenos. So keep your eyes peeled on the Table of Horrors Twitter, and you should be hearing about when we'll be having that one and the Star Trek one soon.
Cool. And I know, Zach, you also do things.
I do things.
Because I retweeted they're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yes, they're coming. They came to get you, Barbara. I just released it. It's part of the Story Packs Nexus community content program. It takes Night of the Living Dead and turns it into a game chronicle for They Came From Beyond the Grave. I have a website, zachrules.com, where you can find other stuff that I write and see past streams that I've been in. This is currently the only place that you will be seeing me on Twitch for the foreseeable future. If you're heading to PAX Unplugged, I will be running games. I am getting my schedule to find out what that is going to be shortly, I hope. So you can actually see me in person.
Yeah, once I'm terrified of COVID because I have COPD, so we're not attending any of the conventions yet because COPD plus COVID equals respirator at a minimum. But once that ends, I do plan to find you at one of these conventions. Damn it!
ShankyCon
No,
2023.
actually, it's Stabber Fest. That has
Stabber
been talked
Fest.
about. A Stabber Fest is on the plate eventually because that's something that's been discussed on the Discord for a very damn long time. And at this point, if it doesn't eventually happen, I will probably be shanked by my own community. Just saying.
Yeah. I can also be found on the Bird app at Zach Rules. I can be found at other social media outlets at Zach Rules or at Zach Rules Dice and places that Zach Ruiz beat me to getting that name. I don't use any of the other ones really, so the Bird app is really the only one that I use regularly. But there you go.
So please give these people some love. Go out, check out their stuff, give them some love because everyone at this table did a great job tonight. For everyone here, it's the first time playing at my table. They may have seen me stream, but they've never been on the receiving end of a Shanky night. And they did very well for the first night. But of course, the first episode is always the easiest. The tension will be ratcheting up, so you're aware. Now let's talk about the schedule. So you know the schedule. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, Vampire the Masquerade, Windy City After Dark, Season 8, Episode 8. I've got to say, tomorrow's episode, holy shit. For any of our werewolf fans, be ready to make a rage check. Because of what happens this episode, it's going to induce any kind of rage check you need to take because of what happens that regards werewolf. Trust me, it's a great episode. Where we left off, Isabella Caputo, played by Mischievous Red, who's getting married. She had disappeared. So the coterie has got to deal with that too. It is a definite nail biter episode, but all the players come out of it claiming they loved it. One of the best they felt this season. So that's high praise coming from that crew. So check them out. Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Mage the Ascension, Neon Hurricane, Season 4, the final season we're doing of the Neon series. And where we left off with those mages, holy shit, their avatars were shattered. Mages with no avatar. Bad news. The players were like, holy fuck. And dear God, bad shit's happening to them. I feel bad for them. Kind of. But I don't because they signed up for Ravnos Archon's mage. And you know what you're getting when you play mage with Ravnos Archon. I mean, I love Ravnos Archon, but he is as devious as I am with doing some fucked up shit. So I have to give him props on that. And as my wife says there in Twitch chat, there better be a way to get him back or she's going to be very upset. And he's going to bear the brunt of a Mama McStabber. You don't want that, trust me. And of course, next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, where this time slot was, it'll be back to Tiss, Dr. Tiss, and her Victorian era Call of Cthulhu game, London Esoteric Society. And where you'll see a number of the members of our Discord playing as their Victorian era investigators, making all the mistakes you make in a Call of Cthulhu by reading the books, summoning the elder gods, and doing stuff you're really not supposed to do in Call of Cthulhu, running out of luck and sanity at a rapid pace. She's got a rotating cast because some of the characters need time off to regain sanity. That's the kind of game she's running. So check that out next week, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. For those wondering when the next episode of this is, I have to check to see when Tiss is not streaming because we refused to take Tiss's time slot. This was a weekend she was off. That's why we scheduled it. But I suspect we're going to have the next episode of this in December where you'll get to see episode 2. And then we'll have an episode 3, I'm sure, sometime after that based on when Tiss isn't streaming. So you'll be able to watch it on YouTube to get caught back up in case you forget things. It's okay. And as we end all of these streams, everybody, mental health. It's not a joke. It's not a laughing matter. Please take your own mental health seriously and the mental health of others seriously. Check in on those around you. Reach out to them. Please make sure that they're okay because a lot of times all it takes is a lifeline. Somebody's to be a willing person to listen, to help take somebody off the edge. That's all it'll take. And if you suffer from mental health issues, the first thing I want to tell you is it's okay to not be okay. There's nothing wrong with admitting you need help. We all need help from time to time. And if you don't have people around you can reach out to, because I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking their mental health with others, in chat right now is a list of numbers you can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And somebody will be on the other end of that line to talk you through it, to help you out, to be there. Because mental health is a serious subject. And mental health is health. Please don't suffer alone. Don't suffer in silence. Please get the help you need. And since my wife is not here, I'm going to cover her portions of the outro. And I'm going to let you know that please, voting season is coming up. Please look at the candidates you're voting for and vote for the ones who believe in fucking human rights. Please. Trans rights, women's bodily autonomy. Those are human fucking rights. Please vote for the people who are out to protect the right to choose what you do with your body, because whatever you want to do with your body, if it's not hurting somebody else, should not be the government's say. You know which party I'm talking about, not voting against, but I just want to say research your candidates. Make sure you're voting for the ones that vote for human fucking rights. Okay? Please, this is not a joke. The GOP has already introduced a bill that they want to vote on if they take over the Senate to ban abortions nationwide. It's not a states' right issue. It's a human rights issue, and it's bullshit, everybody. Please. And of course, fuck Putin. Do not take it out on the Russian people. We love the Russian people. It's not their fault that their leader is a narcissistic, megalomaniac psychopath. Fuck Putin. And I'm going to continue that until he's out of Ukraine. And lastly, of course, please do not be an abuser in the TTRPG community or any fucking community. The community does not need abusive, narcissistic individuals. Many of you know who I'm talking about. Please, don't be an abuser. Be nice to each other. You know, as Mr. Rogers say, be a good neighbor, please. And I'd like to thank once again the cast of this amazing mini-series here, and you, the viewers, for being here to watch the show. Please. Oh yeah, I forgot the last part. Get your shots. Please get your shots.
Get your damn shots.
That's right. Get your COVID, get your your flu boosters.
Wear your mask.
Yeah, if you can, get the damn monkeypox, because my understanding is if you get it, it feels like glass on the skin, and that's not pleasant. Please get your shots, please. And as I mentioned before, I have COPD. The COVID shots will help keep from killing Shanky. Don't kill the Shanky, please. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and please, good night.